The Beverly Council on Aging welcomes you to our program, Livin' the Good Life, designed to explore our beautiful city and the world around us.
Hello and welcome to Livin' the Good Life. I'm Bob Hobbs. I have two very interesting guests today. They're serving fellowships as a result of their work at Merrimack College, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. First is Molly LeBlanc-Medeiros, who's serving a fellowship in community engagement, intergenerational community engagement at the BCOA. And Jessica Valentin, who is also serving a fellowship, but she is at St. John's Prep, and she is working in multicultural programs. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's talk, Molly, let's start with you, shall we? Let's talk about the community engagement and exactly what it is that you are doing in community engagement, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Thanks, Bob. So I've been at the Council on Aging for about 2 months now, and I'm trying to start up with the other staff at the Council on Aging some intergenerational programs to try to get people from different aspects of the Beverly community to come together. As you know, the BCOA has a lot of programming that's great for seniors in our community, but a lot of studies have found that programs that bring young people and older people together enrich the life of the community and benefit both youth and older adults. So we're trying to see if we can start some of those kinds of programs here.
And what directions are you taking? Do you have any specific plans on how you're going to do that?
There are 4 programs that we're working on right now, and they engage older adults with younger people, from preschoolers, high schoolers, middle schoolers, and college-age students. And one of the programs where we've already started is our game night program, which is when we have students from Gordon and Endicott College come and they play games with the seniors, and it's been really fun. So we hope that more people will take us up on our offer. There's free food.
Well, they'll almost guarantee take you up on the free food. I don't know how they're going to be at the game thing. Jessica, you are doing multicultural
Yes, multicultural affairs and community development. So basically at St. John's Prep, which is an all-boys high school, very new environment for me, actually. First time working at an all-boys school. I work in an office that's called the Multicultural Affairs and Community Development. So with that, there are many parts to that. So we have the multicultural piece where we run many programs throughout the school year for not just the students, but the larger prep community. So that includes the faculty, staff, administrators, and parents of the prep to kind of promote and embrace different cultures that are present in the campus community, as well as the larger Danvers community and basically the world. We want to be able to provide programming and experiences for the students that will prepare them to be global citizens, right? So that's one piece.
That's a great
absolutely, yeah.
goal.
And sometimes we forget to do that, so it's a great goal. The other piece, the community development, kind of stems from that idea of engaging everyone on the campus, but this is where we reach outside of the school, where we reach to sister schools. That's just one example, since the boys are in an all-boys environment all day in their after-school activities. We've been reaching out to different schools in the area that are all girls' schools as well, so that we can start having co-ed programming. Yeah, so and everyone's
sounds like a multicultural possibility here.
Absolutely, everyone's very excited about that. But it's just to promote healthy relationships and relationship buildings, because when you're not exposed to somebody from the opposite gender, sex, it becomes difficult, obviously, to work out those interactions maybe over the weekend or after school. So we're trying to provide those experiences on campus. And one way that we're thinking of doing that, we just had a meeting with a school, a sister school, and we were trying to find out which after-school clubs we had that were similar. So, if they have a chess club and we have a chess club, how about we pick a day of the week where both our student groups meet together and do that activity together. So that's just one way of having the community development play out.
There's a lot of possibilities, I would think.
There are.
Yeah. But if you're doing an all-boys school and all-girls school, is it more of a gender thing, or
not necessarily. If there's
multicultural.
More than gender, absolutely. So there's also the multicultural piece as well, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So another one of our programs that one of the students came up with, and we fostered leadership as well. So the students are coming up with these ideas on their own. One of the ideas was to have a culture fest, and so the students got to kind of vote on which country they'd want to focus on for an event where it would feature food from the country, as well as music, and just an authentic experience, a learning experience for everyone participating. And one of the ideas was to invite the sister school to participate in that program.
Sure.
So yes, there's more than just the gender play, and there's a lot more to that.
And that whole idea of focusing on a country, and having the customs and the food and everything else, it is great, because that's when you travel. When I travel, when I did travel, I never went on tour because I wanted to get out into the community. And that's how you really find out about a country. Any possibility you would have somebody, say you're doing Denmark, one of my favorites, would you have a local representative from Denmark come in?
Yeah, so Greg, I love that. You're asking basically things I haven't mentioned. So with the upcoming Culture Fest, we're focusing on Brazil. So what we did was that I reached out to the Brazilian consulate, and so we definitely do reach out.
Good.
We want to get the experts.
That's great, yeah.
Unfortunately, because of scheduling conflicts, they're very busy. They weren't able to participate in our program next month. So what I ended up doing is continuing to reach out. Someone from the consulate actually was kind to refer me to a professor at Harvard, and so I was able to schedule a professor from Harvard to come in next month during our program. And I don't know the name of his course, but he does teach something that is related, and he's, I guess, well-versed on Brazilian culture. So we do reach out to people because we want the students and everyone participating to really get that authentic experience.
Great. They just had an election, as a matter of fact. The results came out yesterday, right? So things are I can imagine a little bit of confusion at the consulate and everything. Yeah. All right, Molly, let's talk about the community engagements that you're engaging in.
Sure. So we talked a little bit about the game night, which is kind of the program that's starting right now, but we have a few other long-term goals, and all of the programming is really designed to try to bring people together in ways that they can build lasting relationships. And we really feel that strengthens the community as a whole when people who are younger and people who are older are able to communicate with each other. Because we find sometimes at the senior center, people have said to me, the world is so different now. I don't know how to talk to younger people.
They got that right.
And
new language.
Yeah, so there needs to be a way to build bridges. Otherwise, what we're going to have is, so I was looking at some census data, and they say that by the year 2030, 22% of the population will be older people, and 22% will be younger people. So they're talking about the graying of America. And if these two large parts of the population can't talk to each other, what are we going to do about that? And it's interesting too. We talk about this concept of ageism, that people experience discrimination based on their age, and both older people and younger people are two sides of that same coin. That people who are younger often feel powerless, and people who are older can feel that way too. So it's possible that through these intergenerational programs, maybe older people and younger people can see each other as allies, and can work together to build up a strong community. So That's kind of the
good goal.
There's the goal there for the intergenerational piece. So how are we going to do this?
Yeah,
Because
that was my next question.
Yeah.
I was going to throw the tough one. Here it is.
a little more easily said than done.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're piloting the game night. Just like we can have fun together. We might not talk about the same things. Our life experiences are very different, but we're people living in the same community, and we can enjoy the same things.
How old are the younger generation at the game night that you
The game night, well, actually, we had people of all ages
Okay.
show up at the game night, but primarily it's for college students and people who are senior center age, which is 60 and up. But we wouldn't really turn anybody away for that. Although you do have to sign up in advance, I should say, just so we know about the food.
Gotcha.
But one program that I'm really excited about is Beverly is pioneering this program where seniors in high school, for their last month of school, have internships in the community. And so the Senior Center is going to be partnering with these interns. And we're hoping that our 4 interns will partner with 4 older adults from the Beverly community. And they're going to come together for this month and together create a workshop about what is healthy aging. And then together present that as a workshop.
That might be an oxymoron, I'll tell you that.
There's a way. So, and we're hoping that the seniors and their intern partners will present this as a workshop to students at the middle school. So it'll be an educational partnership.
Yeah, that's great. I think the key is intentional programming. So we have the spaces in the community, right, where we're all we all kind of cross paths, but I don't think we ever cross them intentionally. When you get to a certain level where you have a much older population, you have a much younger population. So I think it's commendable what she's doing. I love the idea. And I can talk about a little bit about what's happening in my community in terms of intergenerational programming, or at least the start of it, or thinking and starting to talk about it. So I currently, I have a love for writing, and so currently I am running a community-based writing program in Lawrence. And by running, I mean I started it about a month ago. So it's kind of, it's just one of those things where you just have to get started, right? We just have to get started. And so
takes a little longer to write the great American novel. What writing are you doing?
Well, I don't know if we're going to write a novel, but the whole idea of it was to take something that I do enjoy doing. I do enjoy writing. I do enjoy writing poetry, listening to it, performed as well, and I have many friends and people in the community who enjoy doing the same thing. But in addition to that, I also have a desire to see people come together, and people of all ages and all different walks of life. And when you really start to wonder, how do you do this? You really have to think hard, because you have the idea of the game night, but that's just one way. We really have to think hard about this, because not enough people are doing it. And so with the writing club, we figured we'd start with this weekly space. I'm partnered with a coffee shop in Lawrence called El Taller. It's also a bookstore. So it's very popular in the community. The space is very community friendly. A lot of the Merrimack College students do their homework there. I do all my homework there. A lot of community leaders are always present there. And so what I've done is I partnered with them, and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We host a 1-hour writing club, and anyone can come during that hour. And by anyone, I basically, it's interesting the way it's worded right now, and I hope to be able to figure out how to change the language, because that's so important. So on Wednesdays, it's the adults writing club, and on Saturdays, it's the families writing club at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. But the idea of having those both groups was because we always focus on the young people. So when it comes to writing and poetry and performing what's now very popular, like spoken word poetry, performance-based poetry, we sort of think of like the younger population, the kids going up there to the mic. You don't necessarily picture an older individual doing that. And so with these two spaces, I'm excited about seeing people coming together of all ages, so particularly with the families one. And that one was intentional because we want to see parents and grandparents come with their kids and their grandchildren and sit around the same table and work around the same kind of prompts, writing prompts and activities. So for the past few Saturdays, we've been able to do that, and it's great. You know, just to see, you know, little ones as young as 4 years old with their grandma writing poetry together and then illustrating it. So we do more of a hands-on approach with them as opposed to the Wednesday group where we're really just getting into the writing. So that's just one way I'm trying to
that's great.
get that in the community. And then another thing we want to do is to go right into the spaces where the older population is. So I've proposed going into some of the senior centers and some of the day program centers with the writing club, so that we can enjoy these activities with people who sometimes are not able to come out, right? Because there's mobility is also an issue with the older population, and I don't think we don't pay enough attention to that. And I think we have to do that. We have to be able to go to where the people are. So I'm excited about being able to do that soon. It hasn't
I'm fascinated by the poetry. I wrote poetry for a while.
Oh, okay.
It was wonderful. It was more George Carlin than Walt Whitman. It wasn't going to be published.
Yeah.
Actually, Bob, we're having Colleen Michaels from Montserrat College of Art is offering a free poetry workshop on February 11th. So feel free to come by. Right at the Senior Center.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Simple as it sounds, I am interested in that.
There's plenty of time to
start thinking about it. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to really be interested in my worldviews and poetry.
Of course.
We are.
Welcome.
That's the great part about poetry, is that you don't know what's going to come out of somebody. You have no idea. It's kind of scary sometimes, but you know, you give it.
I'll guarantee you that.
I've seen it happen every single week. You give everyone the same exact prompt, and depending on where you are in your life, if you're a student, if you know you're a teacher, you're a parent, you interpret that prompt very differently. I have one of my youngest sisters. My youngest sister's 15, and she's been joining the groups every single week, and it's just interesting to hear what she has to say. And sometimes I wonder, oh, that's what you've been thinking, you know, because the poetry brings that out. So I would love to hear what you have to say.
Or not. All right, Molly, let's talk about some of the things you've got listed here. Excuse me. Martin Luther King Week.
Yeah, so we're working on building some partnerships with youth-serving organizations in Beverly. So we have programs set up where some older adults are going to go in and read stories about Martin Luther King during the month of January to honor the legacy of Dr. King and talk about peace as an important part of our life in Beverly. So we're going to be working with the Beverly Public Library. We're having a Saturday event there, and so they need some people to come in and read to the children, and then we're going to do a craft project and make a dream banner, which will be on display at the library. And we're also going to be working with Pathways for Children, which is our local Head Start, and it'll be, again, another program with reading to the preschool-aged children, and then the teacher there is coming up with a song that everyone will learn and sing together, and then some watercolors. So it should be fun. This is for preschool, you said? Yeah, preschool. And again, with preschool, we're working with Beverly Children's Learning Center, and we'll have a similar program with them. And in fact, we're looking at developing more programming with the Beverly Children's Learning Center, perhaps some based around health and movement and nutrition, maybe some joint yoga classes, maybe some joint cooking and food preparation, to try to build those intergenerational connections.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have any plans to do anything with older kids than preschool?
So we're hoping to work with the YMCA. Right now we have a pen pal program going on with the YMCA where seniors from the center are writing letters to the 3rd through 5th graders at the YMCA after school program. And we're sending out our first batch of letters this week. So they'll probably be writing back in the month of November. So that'll be going back and forth. And at the end of the year, we have a celebration, and the pen pals meet each other. You've done that before,
I've done
right,
it.
Bob?
Yeah, it is interesting. I did it for 2 years, and we were going to 5th graders in Middleton. And it was interesting. In fact, the best part of it was meeting the kids afterwards, because both the kids I wrote to were really good kids. You know, I mean, they had specific talents. One was a great baseball player, and the other kid was really smart. And we had great discussions about time, what is time, that kind of thing. Right? Good God. It was great to talk to them, really. It's an interesting program.
Yeah.
I know that we talked yesterday about my maybe starting it, but the tricky part is writing a letter to somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
Or even how old they are.
Just sending it out.
All right, so that's going to be a test.
So there's that, and then we have one more program with high school students, and we're hoping to start this in December. It's our Senior Breakfast Club. Now, I'm not sure if kids in high school these days have watched The Breakfast Club, the movies from the 80s, so I don't know if I should use that as promotion. But we're hoping that we're going to have 12 students from Beverly High School and 12 older adults from the community come together every month to talk about a range of issues that they think are important to them. And we're hoping that this group will develop those issues on their own. So we don't want to give it too much guidance, but we're hoping to have a forum for building relationships and communication.
And what would you think the topics would be? Yeah.
Well, probably December is going to be getting to know you.
Okay, which is good.
And then we're kind of thinking about things that concern people who are leaving high school and people who are 60 and up. And there are things that everyone's concerned about that's been identified, like the future. How do we talk about the future? It's very different for someone who's thinking about going to college versus someone who's retired. But it's still very important for us all to think about the fact that the future is a very, very different thing. And I think that older adults can offer pretty significant guidance to people who
We're
are
all
leaving high
jaded and
school.
cynical. We can tell them what they can really expect. Yeah. But that's a great program.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
Jessica, let's go back to the multicultural thing. How often are you going to do how many of those shows featuring the different
Fest.
countries' culture, how many of them do you tend to do? Is it
So
going to be
actually,
a one-a-week thing? Or
No, so
there's a lot of countries out there.
I've only been there for a couple months, since August, but just learning about what happened the previous year. There was a fellow that I took her place from last year. There was one Culture Fest last year, and this year we'll have 2. And so it's kind of one of those slow progressions, you know. I'm sure we're not going to end up with 10 every year, because they do take a lot of planning.
Yes,
just reaching out to the people to be able to volunteer their time to speak, and performers. Forgot to mention, we'll have jiu-jitsu, a jiu-jitsu group coming during the Brazilian night. So we have a lot of good things happening that night. But this year it will be Brazil, and in the spring we'll feature India.
Nice.
I'm excited about that.
India will be really cool.
Yes.
Interesting topics.
And
You say we're going to have entertainment from the various countries?
yeah, so I'm currently working on the entertainment for India. So if you have any leads, let me know. But aside from that, there's also a multicultural celebration, and that event features 5 countries. So this will be my first one this upcoming May. But from what I heard from last year, you know, staff and students still talk about it. It was a great event. It lasted a few hours long, because you can imagine featuring 5 different countries. They did have performers from every single country represented. And so
I'm surprised you could hold it to that short of a time.
yeah,
There's, There's so much territory to cover. From that.
Exactly.
Yeah, really.
This year, a couple that I can remember at the moment are Egypt, we have Philippines, Italy, Cherokee Nation, actually.
Now, that's an interesting one.
Yes, I've reached out to some people. I'm still waiting to hear back. And the 5th, I can't recall at the moment. But if you can imagine, it's just what a range of places
It's
to have in
wonderful,
one
really,
room.
yeah.
And it is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So that is our big event.
Yeah, you could do days on each one of them
Right.
individually, really. You know?
Right, right.
Well, you were saying that you were looking for established lasting relationships. How is that ever going to work?
It's the tricky thing, right?
Yeah.
But we figure that this is a community where people come and people stay, because it's a good place to live. So we hope that the older adults who are here are going to stay, and you are the anchor of the community. And so if you can reach out and you make a friendship with a kid who's in high school, and maybe that kid goes off to college, and maybe that kid comes back here and starts a family, that kid has that pull, has that feeling that he or she belongs to this community, and that this community cares about him or her. So we're hoping that maybe like you with your pen pals, that you feel this is a person you got to know, and that's important to both you. In fact, I think 1 or 2 people who participated in the pen pal program in the past who, when I called them up to see if they wanted to participate this year, said, no, I can't. I was like, oh, okay. Because I'm still writing to my pen pal from last year. I made a real connection, and I care about maintaining that.
The last one that I did, which we did 2, we kept writing for another 3 or 4 months, but kind of felt, but he's moving on. I mean, come on, he's going to junior high school. Different things are happening. It's more exciting, so he just stopped. We stopped it, but it was really an interesting thing. Really looked forward to meeting these kids when we did.
And that really helps, because when we live in such different worlds, as Jessica said, we have communities now that you have to be 55 and up to live here. You can be a young parent
if live is the word.
Young parents with small children, and you don't have grandparents in the area. Maybe you never see an older person or college students. I remember being in college and being like, oh, look, a baby. I never see babies anymore. We're in a society that really separates the generations a lot.
Very much.
And that can lead to a lot of misunderstanding and fear between different generations, because you hear so many things. Oh, young people, there are terrible things happening with young people. But if you get to know actual young people in your community, maybe you say, yeah, there are bad things that happen with young people, but there are bad things that happen with people of all ages.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that really helps.
Yeah, that's really good. I think these are great programs. We have about 2 more minutes. Do you want to get briefly into how you got here? Well, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I'm in the Community Engagement Program at Merrimack College, which is a 1-year intensive master's program. And I come to that from a background in Haverhill, Massachusetts. I live and work with adults with disabilities, and I'm hoping to continue seeing how that population can be more integrated into the community.
And Jess?
And I'm also in the same very intense community engagement master's program at Merrimack College. My background was never in education or this field. I was pre-med at Northeastern University. That's where I was a biology major, graduated there many years ago. And by many, I mean like 8 years ago. So I'm very happy to be in a field where I found lots of satisfaction with just being right in the community. That's the heart of what I enjoy doing. I grew up in Lawrence, Mass, and I went to LA for a couple years, and when I moved back 3 years ago, I found a lot of organizing happening, kind of the grassroots organizing, and I jumped right into it. And so that's what's keeping me here, and that's what's motivating me to continue this work, because I enjoy seeing people come together.
Very good, because as a senior, my one, not word, but my words of advice would be, your point in life, do what you want to do, because it's way more important than making the money and everything. I worked at a racetrack. Everybody else made the money. I had all the fun. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, let me tell you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
This was wonderful. Thank you all for watching. I'm Bob. See you next time on Living the Good Life.
You've been watching Livin' the Good Life. We always welcome your comments and suggestions for future programs. Call us at 978-921-6017.